iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.
Well, hi there, Michael.
Hello, Christine. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited because today's show all about Beetlejuice.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite movies.
The musical.
Yeah,
yes.
big hit on Broadway.
It's a huge hit on Broadway at the Winter Garden Theater, and we have two of the stars of the show with us, Sophia and Caruso, who, by the way, congratulations, Theater World Award winner.
Thank you.
It is so fantastic.
Congratulations.
Yeah, very
She's so great in this show. And you play Lydia.
I do,
And you've brought your dad along.
I have brought my dad along here.
Fake dad. Part-time dad.
A stage dad.
Stage dad.
Adam Dannheisser joins us. And Adam, you play Charles, Lydia's father.
Correct.
In the show. And you guys are absolutely wonderful in the show. We so enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You know, we recently interviewed Alex Brightman.
We did?
Yes.
Was I there?
I may have cheated on you. It was with another partner. That's for another day.
Oh, all right.
Okay. But Alex told us, Sophia, Alex said he felt like you were like watching A Star is Born in this show, that he's been with you since the beginning of creating this character. And he said just watching you grow and shine in the show has been absolutely amazing.
Well, that's nice of him. Yes.
He didn't mean it.
He says stuff like that.
All the time, right,
Yeah.
Adam?
All the time.
That's really nice of him. Yeah, we've been working together for the last about 3 years on the project, developing everything. And yeah, he's been great to work with. He's super, super funny and keeps the work really light and fun.
He is.
I've always been very serious when I'm, working. So he brings the fun into it.
Now, Adam, were you with the show when it was tried out in Washington, right?
Yes.
Because I wrote a column in the Post. It kind of underwent an overhaul before it came into New York. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we were going for a very sort of irreverent, crass kind of
Like the
energy.
movie.
Like the movie,
Yeah.
although
But-
more.
But more. Yeah,
Times
just,
10.
sort of borderline very offensive.
Possibly.
Borderline, possibly. To some people, it was just crass. It just depends on the type of humor you like.
Right.
I loved it.
I loved
But,
it too.
I
Oh,
think-
really? You liked that, the production in Washington that some people complained was a little too crass?
Yeah. Well, I was in it, so I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're coming to see Beetlejuice the musical, you shouldn't come expecting something boring.
Well, right. It's not Noel Coward.
It's anything but.
It's anything but. It's super exciting and huge and fun, and
Noel
really,
Coward was pretty
really
crass.
funny. Really funny.
But then down in Washington, so what do they do? How do they tweak it? How did they sort of give that overhaul for Broadway?
Well, I think they all the creatives got together with, I'm sure, producers and talked about what worked and what they felt didn't work based on feedback they were getting.
Mm-hmm.
And they all...
And also the actors, too. I spoke with the writers, and we did a reading workshop type thing when we came back to New York from D.C. In between the Broadway run in D.C., we did a sort of workshop on it and worked through it and changed some things. So that's sort of how the changes came.
Initially, what I was saying is that they all got together and then sort of formed a game plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then Alex Timbers, our amazing director, actually put out calls to us to let us know what was coming down the pike and what they were thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, so positive about the changes that were coming, and just wanted to sort of loop us in before we restarted the process.
Right.
That this was, going in this direction, and this was no longer going to exist, and this. So we came in to the rehearsal process again, sort of with a heads up that that we're going to change.
Well,
stuff.
we have new sensitivities now. The
For sure.
Beetlejuice the movie was done at a different time, and probably some of the jokes you couldn't get away with today.
Everything is shifting under our feet, so it's,
Very quickly, in fact.
yes.
Well, and I think it explains a lot more about Lydia and her story and why she's feeling the way she's feeling. Your family is mourning.
Definitely. In the movie version, Lydia is more of a supporting character, and I think her sort of darkness and depression is romanticized in the movie a little bit, and I think that in our version of this, our adaptation, that it really shows the reality of what it's like to be a young girl grieving, and the story follows my dad and I in our process of grieving, in our sort of opposites. He's pushing for the future and I'm stuck in the past, and how we come together and in the end
present.
and we come together in the end in the present, and come on an agreement and a sort of reconciliation, I guess, to be together and to grieve together and walk through life together.
Well, it's interesting because for all of the humor and exuberance of the show, it does have poignancy to it underneath it all.
Definitely. I think the dad-daughter track that we have in the show, that sort of plot line, definitely brings a lot of heart to the show. And then Alex Brightman's sort of side of it brings the tricks, the magic, and a lot of the comedy. But even in the Lydia track and that plot, there's a lot of comedy. We make light of death. We make a show about death bearable for people to watch while they still learn something. And I think that's tricky because you don't want to go to a show that's, depressing and but I still think you get to learn something about grieving and sadness while keeping the show really light and fun.
Sophia, you do have a big number, My Dead Mom, which is like, very, very touching. So how is it for you doing that number in the show, in this big, giant musical, we'll call it?
It's interesting. I remember the first time my dad saw the show, I remember right before the show, I thought, oh my God, my dad's mom died around this time a couple years ago. He's probably feeling sensitive. And I remember feeling very nervous to sing it in front of him. And he ended up really loving it. And at the stage door, I get people all the time saying, my mom died. And the story of Lydia and her mom really touched me. And I really just love what you did. And that makes my day, I love going out and hearing those things and knowing that people are coming and feeling things and enjoying it. So yeah, Dead Mom's a fun song. That's one of the trickiest songs for me to sing in the show.
Hit it.
Yeah.
Dead Mom, that's a great song. Adam, you have one of the wildest sets on Broadway. I mean, it's a brilliant set. It does all kinds of crazy things.
Yes.
Do you have to sort of be walked through a set like that to make sure that you don't injure yourself?
Yeah, sure. You get a pretty thorough walkthrough, and there's initially a lot of safety first kind of feelings from everyone around, But there are a lot of tricks on that stage, and you can see in the wings, when certain things are being done on stage. You see two stage managers standing by here, and one, stage manager just in case anything goes awry, and we have all kinds of, safety warning sounds and no means no or no. That's
we
not
have.
one.
We have signals. We have hand signals in case one of the tricks goes wrong, because a lot of them are really dangerous. We stand on very specific numbers and angles.
It's very tense now that I think about it.
It's really intense. And thinking about some of the things that people in our show have to do, we've got to be flying, and there's pyro going off and crazy loud music and screaming all at once in some places. So
I'm so stressed out.
pretty wild.
Yeah, I know.
He's got to go to work tonight, and he's terrified.
Also, we perform on a rake stage, so it's slanted. So definitely all of it takes a toll on our body. I mean, obviously doing a musical 8 shows a week is going to take a toll on your body, but adding all of the tricks and all of the precision that we do in the show definitely adds a...
Nearly everybody who was in the original production of The Lion King went into traction. Because back then, and 20 years ago now, the costumes were much heavier than they are now.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody was wearing, tons of costumes on themselves. So they all had back problems and all sorts of issues.
It felt great for like the first month.
It did. What have I signed up for?
What did I do?
Exactly.
Is my neck destroyed?
That's where
That's where physical therapy comes in. Yes.
Do you have a favorite number, favorite moment in the show?
A favorite number. I love the opening of Act 2.
Yeah, this is a fun one.
What happens? For people who haven't seen it yet.
Well, Lydia and Beetlejuice have sort of taken over successfully the house. Am I allowed to say things like that? I can,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they have a wonderful number together, which ultimately Beetlejuice clones himself, and how many? 10, 12 Beetlejuice
we have
clones
an
are on
entire
stage.
company of ensemble members coming on as Beetlejuice clones. That
And
number's
it's a
really
full-out
fun.
dance number, gymnastic, people flipping over things and flying.
I'm
and,
doing swing lifts while people are flipping over me.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's just really exciting and very satisfying way to start a second act. It's
Well, second acts are tricky because you got to pick the audience back up and bring them back into the universe that they have left when they've had their $30 sippy cups of bad white wine.
Yes.
At the end of Act 1, we leave with a huge cliffhanger. And then at the start of Act 2, we have a sort of false happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like brings you up high, and then the intensity and all the problems start popping up again, and it's just really awesome. And then the final song is probably my favorite song. 1, because it's a fan favorite. 2, because it's awesome to sing. And I
What's
think
it called?
It's called Shake Sonora.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you've heard of it.
/ Dead Mom Reprise, because there's a sort of reprise of one of the songs I sing that's mixed into the song towards the end. I get to do my own little trick in that, and we get to dance a little. It's super fun, yeah.
No, it's great. It's a great ending to the show. So
It is.
before we let you guys go, we always like to ask our guests for a couple of songs from the musical theater that have some special and specific meaning in your lives. So, Adam, couple of show tunes you like, and tell us why.
I guess the show tunes that come to mind are show tunes that I heard when I was young and striving to move toward this career. So I would say I was not a wonderful singer, so I gravitated to songs that wouldn't stretch me too hard. So songs like Stars from Les Mis, although
that's a big song.
But it doesn't.
I don't know that I can pull it off.
2, 4, 6, 0, 1. It's not that kind of.
No, but
I
it's
love
also not make
emotion.
someone happy.
Yes, emotional songs like that still sort of stayed within my actor's wheelhouse. So I sang that in the bathtub at 16.
You could play Javert. Have you ever played Javert anywhere?
I haven't. No, I would like to.
You
I would
could
like
do that.
to. Yeah.
If you're
I
listening,
decided
Cameron
the other day,
McIntosh.
This is a weird thing. I decided I want to play Fagin.
Really?
Is that weird? Do people want to play Fagin?
Well, Ron Moody played it brilliantly, I thought.
Yeah.
We've got that great song, I'm reviewing the situation.
Yes.
Can a fellow be a villain all his life?
Yes.
That's a good one.
Well,
That's
I think
what I
you have
wanna do.
competition.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, you
Michael's
got to
gonna
pick
give you a
pocket
run.
or two,
Oh, that's
right?
a great song.
Yeah, I did that when I was maybe 9 or something. So,
Oh, yeah?
So that sticks out now that I'm thinking about it.
Villain songs are great. Captain Hook.
Yes.
Who's the slimiest slime in the world?
Me.
Yeah.
Is it me?
And Sophia, a couple of songs from the musical theater that have significant meaning for you?
I was thinking about it while Adam was talking about his, and I think mine might sound a little weird. I grew up I would watch it on repeat, like almost every day probably, which was the Fosse movie that was made when they did the Fosse on Broadway thing. And all of the music from that is just so sexy, and I grew up, with classical dance training, and I always just loved it. It's just super sexy and fun.
The percussion stuff?
Yeah. And then funny enough, I remember when I found out that Leslie Kritzer was going to be doing this show, I freaked out because I always listened to the Rooms, the musical album. It was an off-Broadway show.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of like a punk rock musical. And she just was such a awesome singer on that, and I really loved it. I also loved Once. Enda Walsh wrote another show that I was in, so I really loved the music from that and the lyrics. It's like calm and beautiful and not too, musical theater-y. It's a little bit more modern.
Is that the Falling Slowly song? Is from
Yeah,
there?
that one's, that's from there. Falling
One of the most
Slowly.
beautiful songs, yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. So
can sing
those are some of the ones
There
I
we
really
go.
like.
In my range.
Have you ever seen, you like Fosse, have you ever seen All That Jazz?
Yes.
That's
yeah.
a great movie.
It's a great movie.
Except for the last 20 minutes are a little bizarre when Ben Vereen's doing the floor show. But up to that point, it's a terrific movie. And it really shows you the artistic process. I love that scene when he's with his daughter in the dance studio and he's using her to create a dance. It's a lovely moment. So, all right. Well, Adam Dannheisser and Sophia and Caruso are in Beetlejuice on Broadway at the Winter Garden Theater. Big hit show. Don't miss it. Go see it soon, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Any ghosts in the theater, by the way, since it is Beetlejuice?
What's that?
Any ghosts in the theater? Anything strange going on
I
there?
haven't seen any ghosts. I
No.
smelled something weird the other day.
Well, it's probably dead horses because that theater used to be a horse arena.
Yes,
See?
it did used to be a horse
Wow.
arena.
It was a
Yeah,
dead
there's
horse.
even some hooks upstairs in the men's dressing room that
Absolutely.
they used to tie them to. Yeah. I've heard some stories about, people who've died in the theater, things like that. But I think that's all of the Broadway houses. They're so old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think that there's definitely history and haunting there. Also, I was going to say, when you guys were saying to buy tickets, we sold out last week. We had sold out shows. So if you're going to get tickets, you better get them.
Okay.
Absolutely. There's your rallying cry.
Come smell the dead horses. Come smell the dead horses.
I think it was
another
built.
reason.
Well, the Winter Garden was a horse arena. I think it was built by the Astors, and then the Schubert brothers took it over and turned it into a theater, which is why it has that kind of odd shape. Take a look at the shape. It's actually a shallow theater.
Yeah.
For as big as it is, it's shallow.
Very wide and shallow.
Because it was originally an oval.
Wow.
Learn something new every day.
It's history.
It's very
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
that.
come and see a musical comedy about death.
Well,
with Dead
you
Mom.
guys are wonderful.
Dead mom, dead horse.
That's right. Okay, that'll do it for Christine and me here on Inside Broadway. Please follow us if you are listening on the iHeartRadio app or on your computer. Just hit follow so you always know when we post a new episode. Good talking to you, Christine.
Yes, you too, Michael, and thank you.
We'll see you next time on Inside Broadway.